There's probably going to be some bad language in this, so you might not want to let the kids watch. What's going on, you dead set spunk rats? The wino is back, this time with just the tip. Last week, started a new video series called the Tipsy Tight Ass Tipping Show. I still plan to do that, but a friend of mine, Tony Trinder, shout out, said probably a good idea just to do a short video with just the bet picks that you had at the end of that one. So that's what this is, just the tip. And in the future, I'll plan to keep doing the Tipsy Tight Ass Tipping Show as well for people who want a bit more in-depth reasons as to why I'm picking those tips, and also to break down, mains and co-mains, even if I'm not necessarily going to bet on them. But this week, I got lunch over at Mum's, so I don't think I'll have time to do another one. But from now on, I'm going to do this as well, just the tip, where I give you the bets that I put on with just a little quick explanation as to why I made those bets. So here we go. What leads into my first bet is I just have to give props to last week's card. I mean, what an amazing night of fights it was, capped off with one of the greatest featherweight title fights of all time, and such an amazing performance by Alexander the Great Volkanovski. So that was fantastic, and I also had a good day on the bets that day. If you watched my video last week, you'll know I put on 2 multis and they both came off. So I came out with $120 profit off $50 bet, so 170 return for 120 profit. And when I have a decent win like that, I like to put on what I'm going to call the let it ride bet. Let a bit of that juju from the win rub off onto the next one. So I took 10 out of those profits and just put a gut feeling multi for this week's card down there and then. And I'll run you through that multi, not necessarily recommending you back me on this one. Like I said, it was just a bit of a superstitious thing I do when I have a win to carry on the luck. And it's just gut feeling reasons why I jump on it. The first leg on it was Kyle Dorcas. He was at 220. Now, a lot of these odds have changed because I put this on last Sunday. I won't tell you what they all changed to now, but I will tell you the change in the overall multi-odds at the end. But yeah, so Dorcas, picked him because we've seen Holland's wrestling deficiencies recently, and I know Dorcas is a great wrestler. Plus, I had his brother on the multis, well, one of them, the bigger one last week, and so that's a bit more of, carrying that juju through. Misha Sirkanov, just looking at, he was at 230 against Krzysztof Jotko, and just looking at those odds, I was like, geez, I'd pick Misha to win off the top of my head, knowing their UFC careers, and he's a 230 underdog. I'm jumping on that, and I'll get into him a little further in the next segment because he's my sensible bet this week, because after scouting, I even more believed that this is his fight to win. Next one was Nico Price. It's another bit of a juju thing because I've won such good money on Nico in the past, but also because he's fighting Alex Oliveira. They're similar types of fighters, very action style fighters. They live by the sword, die by the sword, go out on their shield. They either finish or get finished generally, but I find Nico is a bit more consistent, whereas sometimes Alex can come out and look like the best in the world, or he can come out and look like he doesn't even barely belong in the UFC. So jumped on Nico on that one at 180. And the next one was Alejandro Perez. Funnily enough, it's because I kind of misread Alejandro and read it as Alexander, and I was thinking Alex Perez from flyweight, and he was going up against Johnny Eduardo. But then I looked again, I was like, oh wait, that's Alejandro, and I quickly jumped on Wiki and looked at their records, and just based off the records, I was like, you know what, I'll keep that one on there. But I will talk about this fight again, because after scouting, I think Johnny is quite a decent underdog. I'll get to that soon. The next one, Casey O'Neill. Look, this is basically Aussie solidarity that I jumped on with her, but I will say, after scouting, I won't talk too much about this one because I didn't end up putting any more kind of bets on it, but after scouting, I did think that she's red hot favourite to beat Valentina, because she's very grappling heavy, and not Valentina, of course not Valentina, Antonina, Valentina's sister. And yeah, grappling is the weakness that Antonina has shown in all of her losses. And then finally, Jamie Mullarkey to beat Devontae Smith at 230. Oh, Casey O'Neill was at 144, by the way. And Jamie Mullarkey at 230 to beat Devontae Smith. Look, this was once again just back of the Aussie, and not just the Aussie in this case, a local boy from where I'm from, Central Coast, New South Wales. So put him on there. So those odds came out at 43.43. I put 10 on that to win 434.30. I'm not recommending you necessarily back me on this one, but if you do, the odds are now down to 30.71. So if you put that 10 on, you'll make 307.10 instead of 434.30. I'm about to start talking about my next bet. Before I do, I just got to apologise. There's probably going to be a lot of background noise going on. This is the only time I've got to do this video, and my landlord's just started to do bloody renovations in the next unit. So, sorry about that, but here we go. The next bet is my sensible bet, and that's going on Misha Sirkanov. When I put it on, he was at 230. He is now at 215. I still think 215 is a good price on him. I think about 170 would be a good price on him because his grappling is far superior to Krzysztof Jotko's. He's got great submissions. Jotko has a weakness in takedown defense. The last fight in which he had to defend takedowns against Eric Anders, he actually did quite good. He defended him pretty much the whole fight. But I think that was more a case of Anders not being confident enough in his own takedowns. Like, he never followed through on whatever takedown he was trying. He'd go for a double leg, and before finishing the steps, he'd move to a single leg. And, you know, you can switch your takedown approaches, but he wasn't doing it for any rhyme or reason. It's just like, he's like, I don't like this one, I'll go to this one. And then without even really trying it, he'd slide up from the single leg into the body lock. He wouldn't even get pulled up there by Jotko. So, yeah, I think that was more of a case of Anders not being great at takedowns than Jotko all of a sudden being good at takedown defense. In all the other fights I scouted, he got taken down pretty much any time someone tried. Now, on the feet, Jotko's better technically, but generally the only way Misha loses is, like, because if you look at his record, his 4 losses in the UFC are all knockouts, and he's about to fight a striker. You might be like, ooh, that's not good news for him. But he's coming down from light heavyweight. 3 out of 4 of those knockouts were one-shot knockouts by guys with huge power. Volkan Ozdemir, Johnny Walker, and Ryan Spann. Those guys one-shot knock out a lot of people, not just Misha. So it's not necessarily that Misha's super chinny. And the other one was Glover Teixeira, who Misha was beaten on the feet, rocked him pretty hard, but then Teixeira took him down, got on top, and pounded him out. And look, Jotko definitely doesn't have the grappling and ground and pound of Glover Teixeira. Like, almost no one in the UFC does. So I don't see Jotko doing that either. Jotko will be the better technical striker, but he doesn't have the power in his hands to stop Misha like those other guys did. He knocked out Tandem Macquarie with a one-shot, but every other win he's had in the UFC has been a decision win. He just doesn't have that immediate power that takes Misha out. The only concern I have in this fight is it's the first time Misha's going down to middleweight. Now, I didn't think he was a huge light heavyweight, but I definitely didn't think he was a small one. And 205 down to 185, 20 pounds, that's a big gap. So that's the one area where I might have a bit of concern. But it wasn't enough for me to dissuade me from thinking that he should be the favourite. So back him as an underdog. I put $30 on him at 230, so that'd return 69. But he's now at 215. If you put 30 on him, that's 64.50. I say jump on it. Next pick I'm going to talk about is another bit of an underdog one. Much more risky underdog one. I think the odds on this one should be closer. The favourite in the fight is Alejandro Perez. The underdog is Johnny Eduardo. And look, I think Perez should be the favourite, but I think it should be more around, you know, him at $1.80, Johnny at $2. Rather than when I got on it, Johnny was at $3.05. He's at $2.90 now, which I still think is a decent level to be backing him on. And look, there are some questions in this fight. Both the guys have been out for quite a long time. Perez a little over 2 years, Johnny a little over 3. And Johnny is 43. So Look, at heavyweight, quite often you see guys go over 40, but this is a bantamweight. The lighter you get, the less you can go on in age. So look, there's a bit of a question mark there too. But in terms of their actual fighting styles, both strikers. Johnny doesn't have the best record in the UFC, but he hasn't fought a lot of strikers. He knocked out Eddie Wineland. The next closest thing to a striker he fought was Nathaniel Wood, who's, more of the Rory McDonald kind of mixed martial artist from the start of training guy. Like, doesn't have one base, he's all mixed martial arts. Everyone else pretty much was a grappler that he fought. And so, yeah, Johnny's done well against other strikers. And Perez, I feel, he's done well in the octagon, but he can get hit, he can get rocked, and Johnny has a lot of power. So, slightly leaning Perez in this one, but because the odds are so high on Johnny, I whacked 10 on it when he was at 305, so that gets me 30.50. But I still say $10 on him at 290 is worth it, like $29, worth a gamble. Now, I floated this one because I was thinking of putting 20 on him, but I thought what I'll do instead, I'll put 10 on the head-to-head, which was that, and I'll put another 10 on a Johnny knockout, because that's the way I see it happening most likely if Johnny is going to win, and that was at 650. So if Johnny wins by knockout, that returns 65, and that's still at 650, by the way. So that returns 65, and just the win returns 30.50, so that'll get me $95.50. So I'm like, yeah, sounds good to me. And the final bet I'm talking about today is what I'm going to call the fuck it multi. It's just another multi I put on after I'd done all the scouting, picking guys who, I thought was going to win after scouting, and also guys who have some good odds to really bulk it up. Look, it's a real long shot, this one. The odds are far out there, but it returns well. So I whacked Johnny Eduardo on there again. He'll really bulk it up. He was at the $3 then. He's come down now. I put Casey O'Neill on it. Already told you why I think she should be beating Antonina. I put Joe Solecki on it. I just think him and Jared Gordon, it's going to be a very close contest, but I think Joe Solecki's just a little sharper in all areas. The one thing I'm worried about is if Gordon does get on top, because they're both great grapplers, and if Gordon gets on top, I'm a little worried Joe Solecki will be content to just lay in guard a little and let rounds get away from him. Besides that, I think Joe Solecki should have that one covered, so I whacked him on there. I whacked Alex Hernandez on there. Didn't really look too much into this one, just because I know how good Hernandez is. I haven't really heard of Mike Breeden. I know he came in on super short notice. Not always the smartest thing to do to whack someone on there when you don't know their opponent, but I was pretty confident in Alex, so I threw him on there. Then I had Aspen Ladd on there. No point talking about that because she has fallen off the card due to weight cutting issues. Then I threw Misha Sirkanov on there again. You know why I like him. And finally, I put on Thiago Santos, which is the main event. The reason I'm picking him in the main event, look, Johnny is super dangerous. He can definitely catch Thiago and put him out. But the main factor in this fight for me, I think Thiago's durability is going to be greater than Johnny's gas tank. I think Thiago's going to have some hairy moments to get through early on, and by all means, he could get knocked out. But just going on his career, he is quite durable, so I'm backing him to be able to get through the hairy early moments and expect Johnny to fade quite a bit. Like, he tends to gas in 3-round fights, and this is a 5-rounder. So, yeah, that's the main reason I went with Thiago. Now, forgot to tell you, the odds when I put that one on were at 42.91, but they have gone down for me as well. Like, you got fixed price odds, and if the odds change, they stay the same for you. They did go down for me because Aspen Ladd came off with that void. So they went down to 214.55. I put $5 on it, and it returns me 154.35. If you went to put this bet on now, because other odds have changed as well as Ladd coming off, it's now at 28.09. So if you put $5 on that, you get 140.47. Look, if you're a bit of a daredevil, feel free to back me. In my first ever prediction videos, my biggest daredevil pick came off which was Abdul Razak Al Hassan by first round knockout. I didn't back myself in that one, and I regretted it. But, yeah, those are my bets. Hope I can win you some money, and I'll catch you next time.